Hello everybody. For the past few weeks we have been using this Dobot to do various tasks for our lab. It has many features as this suction cup which we use to pick things up. We use this pen and this checkerboard to calibrate the Dobot and sync it with the camera. We started out picking up blocks like this, and then we moved on to sorting rectangles into these spots. We figured out how to recognize features such as this line. Our final project, we solved the puzzle like this. So we programmed the Dobot using this software that has blocks that look like that, and they do different things. Like this is the camera one. We can go in and set different parameters for it.
5 of these first 3 weeks learning skills that would help us with our final project with the last 2 weeks we spent working on. Lab 1 really only had one primary task. That was to simply pick up a block and set it down again at a different location. Lab 2 was more complicated. This lab had 3 tasks. Task 1 was programming a conveyor belt to move in unison with our robot as our robot picked up blocks off of the belt. Task 2 was identifying angles between 2 objects. One was a feature and one was a block. And then task 3 was to have the robot choose between 2 blocks of a specific color out of a wide assortment of blocks and move them from one location to another. Lab 3 had 2 primary tasks. The first task had us working with another team's robot to pass a colored block. Our robot picked up the block of a certain color and moved it to a specific location. Our robot then communicated to the other team's robot the location of the block, and their robot picked it up. The second task was to get our robot to pick up rectangular puzzle pieces and match them correctly to a rectangular puzzle board. All of these in combination set us up for our final project.
So this flow is the code that we use to tell the robot to send our partner team's letters over to where they could solve their puzzle. So it had to use color and shape to decide which letters are the ones that they needed. Here we have the Dobot software flow for our sending function that we use to place the letters in position for our partner team. The first block is the camera function that takes a picture of the board for the software to use. The color extraction block records the different colors of the picture and their RGB values. The next block is the image morphology function. This block edits the images that have been taken so that the important aspects of the image are clearer and more recognizable. The blob function provides the shape and orientation of the target object, and the fast match block tells the robot arm where it is, using the calibration file. Then a series of move points and suction cup blocks retrieve and release the letter in their respective spots. This section of code is repeated for all the letters that are required. The receiving flow is very similar to the sending flow. It uses the camera and fast matches to recognize the letter and the spot that it needs to be placed in the puzzle. It also uses the shell block that tells the robot the angle it needs to rotate the letter for it to fit. Move point and suction cup blocks are once again used to retrieve the letters and place them in the destination. This code is also repeated for multiple letters. Some of the troubles that we had while doing this lab were that some of the letters were pretty hard to pick up due to the lack of surface area that the suction cup needed. So to fix this, we put tape over the letters to increase the surface area that the suction cup could latch on to. As a result of using the tape, though, it would rip off some of the paint off the letter, so there would be various shades of the color that the letter was, and this made it difficult for the robot to decipher what color the letter was. So we had to adjust the RGB values and widen the range of them so that the robot could recognize the letters with.
The first task, which we called sending, was to sort through puzzle pieces by color and shape and send the correct pieces to the other team. After doing so, the robot would have to send a signal to the other team's robot, basically telling it that they had sent a puzzle. The second task, we called receiving, was to receive the signal sent by the other team, pick up the pieces sent by the other team, and correctly solve the puzzle.